Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Alpha Girl Confidence Podcast. This is episode 227. We are getting up there with our episodes. So if you're a new listener, thanks for checking it out. Hope you enjoy it. And if you're a returning listener, thank you so much for your support and listening to the podcast and hopefully getting a lot out of it. So on today's episode, today's going to be a pretty powerful one. We're going to be talking about the real reason why you fear mistakes and why you fear failure. So it isn't the mistakes itself. It's not the failure itself that you're afraid of, that I'm afraid of, that we as a humanity are afraid of. So if it's not the fear of mistakes and it's not the fear of failure that's holding you back, what is it? Well, the truth is that you're scared of what people will think of you if you fail, if you mess up, if you make mistakes, all those things. So again, it's not the failure itself. It's not the mistakes itself that you're fearful of. It's why am I afraid of making mistakes? And the answer 99.9% of the time is because I don't want to let my teammates down. I don't want to let my friends down. I don't want to let my parents down, my coaches down, myself down. Right? So the reason why, the reason I know this is because all the girls I work with in my programs, all of the hundreds and hundreds of girls I've talked to from the middle school level to high school level to college level, it's really not about the mistakes itself. Because when I ask the question of what are you really afraid of? Like, why are you actually afraid of making mistakes? The answer I get time and time again is, like I just said, I don't want, people to think less of me. I don't want people to think that I'm not good enough. And so you're not alone in this, right? That's such an important thing, is to know you're not alone in this. I can recognize this in myself, that it's not the fear of failure itself. It's, well, what are people going to think of me if I do fail? And I've done a lot of work and gotten to the point where I don't care nearly as much. And I'm going to talk to you in this episode about how you can kind of get to that point. So we're going to be talking about like the mindset of it. And then also a few kind of like strategies, with every podcast episode, I want you to leave with a bit of a mindset shift and also some tangible things that you can take with you, right? So I want you to ask yourself this question, right? If everyone loved you after you made a mistake, would you fear the mistake? If everyone loved you after a mistake, would you fear the mistake? The answer is no, you wouldn't, right? So the fear, again, is not about the failure or mistake. It's about how other people will think of you. So that's good news, depending on how you look at it, or it can be bad news, depending on how you look at it. So for me, it's good news, because at the end of the day, I know that I cannot control what other people think of me. There's going to be people listening to this podcast that love it, that resonate with it, that love me, and there may be some that don't like it, that don't like me. And if that's the case, like, that's fine. Like, there's probably not a ton of people listening to this anyways, if they don't like me. And that doesn't bother me, because I love like, as cheesy as this sounds, like, I love myself. I know the impact that I have. And it doesn't matter what the outcome is. Like, no matter the outcome in my life, I'm not going to think differently about myself because of a mistake, a failure, a choice I made, right? So whether you fail or whether you succeed, people will think what they want. You can be the worst player in the world and people will, think differently of you, think you're not good enough. And you can be the best player in the world, and even more people will say you're not good enough, right? Like, you look at professional athletes, it's not like everyone has the same opinion, right? That's the beauty of society and of humanity, is we all have different opinions. If we all thought the same thing all the time, that would be pretty dang boring, right? So that can be extremely freeing to know that, you know what, at the end of the day, I don't have any control over what people think of me. The only thing I have control over is how I think of myself. You do have control over that. Does it take a little bit of work? Yes, that's why we're here, right? But it's so freeing to know that, oh my gosh, I don't have to try to conform and to fit into a box and to try to please other people. Because when you try to please other people, you don't please yourself, right? And that's the most important thing, is to love yourself unconditionally and accept yourself unconditionally, no matter what. And here's the really cool thing too, is that when you do fully love and accept yourself, ironically, people will also love and accept you the same way. Now, that doesn't mean that that every single person on planet Earth is going to love you if you fully love you. But for the most part, like, other people are just a mirror, right? So if you're feeling really judged, for example, if you're feeling really judged by someone, that's a mirror for you. You may be judging yourself in some way, right? Because if you're truly, truly confident and love yourself unconditionally, number one, people will reflect that back to you. But number two, you won't really care, right? Like, if you fully loved and accepted yourself and someone comes and tells you that your shirt is ugly or your hair needs work or whatever, it's like, cool, thanks for your opinion, but it doesn't really affect me. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't mean that it always feels good, that we want that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change how you feel about yourself. It doesn't change how you behave, how you play, how you live your life, right? So that's the two big things I want you to realize, that number one, you have zero control over what other people think of you. You can only control how you think about yourself. At the end of the day, it only matters how you think about you when you're by yourself, okay? And when you do that, ironically, other people will kind of mirror that same sentiment and that feeling that you have of yourself. And also, if they don't, you don't even care as much. So this is, again, it's the mindset that I want you to grasp here. It's so important for you to grasp this mindset piece. It may not click right away. It may take a little bit of reflecting and experience and practice for it to actually click. But once it does, it's like, you could take a deep breath, right? And so now that we can have covered some of the mindset part of this and perspective shifts around this, I want to share with you kind of just like three powerful ways that you can actually kind of move through this perspective shift and move through the fear of mistakes, aka the fear of what other people think of you, right? So the number one thing, and this is going to take some work, some time. You're doing the work right now by listening to this. But number one is to dig deep and find that unconditional love and acceptance for yourself. Dig deep and find that unconditional love and acceptance for yourself. So what do I mean by unconditional? I mean that no matter what you do, you could make the biggest mistake of your life. You could totally screw up. You could embarrass the crap out of yourself. But no matter what, there are no conditions. No matter what, you love and accept yourself fully. When you can get to that point, that's freedom right there. So that's the first, the most important thing. That two things I'm going to share after that can be done without this. But if you can take care and you can really dig deep, and by me saying this, I'm not saying that I'm fully there. Like, I would say I'm pretty close to, loving myself and accepting myself unconditionally. Like, I truly believe that, but it's taken a lot of work. So that's the first thing I want you to understand, is that the fear won't really be there anymore if you can fully love and accept yourself unconditionally. All right. And so the second thing is this big understanding, this full understanding that the only way that you can get better is to push yourself, is to get outside of your comfort zone, is to make mistakes, is to fail. Like, that is the only way that you can get better. So if you want to get better in your sport, as a friend, as a human being, as a student, whatever it is, you're going to have to make mistakes. Like, that's the beauty of it. Without mistakes, how boring of a life would that be without mistakes? We would literally just be blobs, not doing anything, because there's no such thing as perfection, right? So you have to understand that the only way to get better in anything is to push yourself. You've got to make mistakes. And so with that, okay, cool, intellectually you understand that, but now it's about going and doing it. Like, I don't want you to just be like, yeah, Shay, I get it. I want you to go do it. I want you to go push yourself, whether that's out in your backyard or you're pushing yourself trying to bake a new cookie. Like, go push yourself, right? Like, it's about the action. We're talking about the understanding, the mindset, the perspective shifts. Okay, great, we get that. Now go do it. Go push yourself. Go get outside of your comfort zone. Like, I really challenge you in whatever area of your life to just go push yourself in one area. And when you push yourself in one area, you're not just going to get better in that area, but you're going to get better in other areas because your confidence is going to grow. Your understanding of mistakes is going to improve. Okay. And so the number 3 thing is understand that you can't control the outcome. So you can't control like the mistakes itself and the failures and stuff like that, but you can control your response to those things. So in a game, right? Let's take basketball, right? Are you going to make a bad pass occasionally and have a turnover? Absolutely. You are. Like, you can't always control that. You can't control the defense. You can't control the shot. You can't control like what's going on around you all the time. You can control you, but you can't control all the external things, right? So that's going to happen. Okay. So you understand that you can't control that. But when you make the bad pass, when you take the bad shot, when you get blocked, when you get the ball stolen, whatever it is, you can control your response to them. So that's freeing also, knowing that, you know what, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to make a bad pass. I'm going to make the wrong run sometimes, whatever. So it's not about worrying so much about the mistake. The more you worry about the mistake, the more you're going to make silly mistakes. So stop worrying so much about the mistake and focus more on just going hard, right? Playing hard, going and playing and doing what you know how to do, and then responding to the mistakes as they come. Not reacting to the mistakes in a, oh, I suck, I'm terrible, I'm just going to pout kind of way, but a response to it. How are you going to respond to the mistake? Are you going to play harder? Are you going to, build yourself up after the mistake? So that's huge in itself, is understanding that I don't have any control over the outcome. I don't want to say any control over the outcome, but I have little control over the outcome of things around me. But you do have control over your response to those things. And that can be absolutely huge. And kind of like a real specific example here is, let's say, I talk about this a lot in a tryout, for example, right? That girls are so afraid to make a mistake in a tryout. But the thing is like the coach is going to expect mistakes. They're not looking for, oh, who's making the most mistakes and I'm going to cut them. No, they're looking for who's responding the best to the mistakes and I want them. So that's what I want you to understand. And that's just a tryout specific example, but it's about the response to the mistakes. When you get up and you get up and you get up and you get up and you keep going and you learn and you adapt and you get better and you build your confidence. That's where the magic is. That's where your confidence and your resilience is going to grow. So this episode may take another pass through, another couple passes through for you to fully grasp and understand. This may be one that you want to save because really this is so all-encompassing with confidence and with fear. And if you can just get to the point, and I'm not saying it's easy, but if you can just get to the point where you fully love and accept yourself fully for exactly who you are, game changer. Everything else becomes a lot easier when you can do that. And if you want help doing that, if you want help getting to that point in your life, and not that it's some destination, but it's a journey. If you want support and mentorship to help you as you're, discovering this for yourself, then I'd love to help you. Feel free to click the link in the show notes below to learn more about our group coaching program, Beyond the Athlete, where I'm working with other girls to do just this kind of stuff. So I hope this is helpful for you. If it was, share it with a friend, send me a message, let me know. I love to hear from you guys, and I will catch you on next week's episode. Remember to get outside of your comfort zone this week. Have fun with it.